Welcome to the Wolfram Language in Section 11 of Fast Introduction for Programmers. This section is about ways of applying functions. For example, it is common to want to map a function over every element of a list or every element of an array. For doing that, there is a function called map. This is such a common operation that there is a special notation for it using /at, which is just a different way of entering the map function. The function that gets applied can be any function. For example, this maps a pure function over the elements of a list. Another common operation is replacing the head of a symbolic expression, which can be done using a function called apply. For example, this replaces the head of a list with a function f. This type of operation is useful in part because the head of a symbolic expression is often the name of a function. Using apply like this is such a common operation that there is a special notation for it using two @ signs. This notation is just an alternate way of entering the apply function. More complicated expressions like arrays have levels, where the level of a part of a symbolic expression is defined as the number of indices needed to extract that part. For example, here is a 2x2 array. A single index can be used to extract any of the sublists, so these sublists, which are the rows of the array, correspond to level 1. Two indices are needed to extract elements within those sublists, so the array elements are said to be at level 2. The map function takes a third argument that lets you specify the level at which to map a function. By default, the map function operates at level 1, which for the 2x2 array corresponds to the rows in the array. You can use the third argument in the map function to map at some other level. For example, this maps a function over level 2, which corresponds to the elements of the array. The apply function also takes a third argument. By default, the apply function applies at level 0, which means that it replaces the head of the entire expression. You can also apply a function at other levels. For example, this applies a function f at level 1, which in this example corresponds to the rows in the array. Applying a function at level 1 is a sufficiently common operation that there is a special notation for that too, which uses three @ signs. Two other useful notations for applying functions are a single @ sign, which is the same as ordinary function application, and double / notation, which allows you to put the name of the function after the argument. You can get more information about map and apply and many other very useful related functions by choosing Wolfram documentation under the Help menu to bring up the Documentation Center page, clicking on the Core Language and Structure button, and then choosing Functional Programming, which brings up this page with links to the documentation for all of these functions. This is an important set of functions since functional programming using these functions is often the best way of programming in the Wolfram language.